So what we're going to be talking about today is metallic printing with SignLab. I will be your moderator for today, and Dave will be your presenter. So we'll start out real quick with a brief overview of metallic printing. When we talk about metallic silver in the marketplace, a print service provider has the following issues. They're in a competitive marketplace. Their margins are getting tighter and tighter. There is a demand for specialty applications that often need to be satisfied by specific equipment, often niche equipment that has a cost associated with it. And of course you have a diverse client base. Lots of different people are walking into your business asking for a variety of different options. With all this in mind, metallic silver is a potential solution. By adding a metallic silver ink set to your roll-in device using SignLab for VersaWorks, you now have competitive differentiation because the guy down the street doesn't have metallic silver and you do. You have value-added products because you can offer a regular process color print, or you now have a premium offering by adding metallic silver to it as an embellishment to get a more richer color base as well as a differing color from the other products in your lineup. You have a wider range of applications because by adding silver you've now doubled everything that you're doing at a minimum, as well as expanding your services. Samples, samples, samples. It's what we say at trade shows, it's what we say in all of our literature, it's all over our website. It's important to consider samples as the forefront of selling metallic silver as a solution. You want to add metallic to any existing client's logo, show them options, have a CMYK versus a CMYK with metallic, or MT as we refer to it, to show the differences between the two samples. In most cases it'll be night and day. You want to market to clients looking to differentiate. If somebody comes in and says, I want what nobody else has, this is the first thing that we offer them. Obviously compare them side by side. You'll see the dramatic differences on any glossy substrate. It's particularly nice for raster and photographic work, which Dave will be addressing, but vector work as well has a very, very nice comparison when placed side by side. So for example, if you were to take this Roland Express logo, with CMYK it's actually a very dramatic logo. It has some nice pop to it. It's very eye-appealing, but by adding metallic silver you add that much more of an embellishment. It's much more eye-catching. It attracts more people from a distance. We see this most often in our trade shows and demonstration facilities where we have metallic samples up front. They're more eye-catching and they're more crowd-gathering than our standard CMYK process prints. As far as devices in the roll-in lineup, you have the XC540MT, which is a professional-grade device. Hits over 350 square feet an hour in regular process printing, but also has the ability to handle metallic silver as well as white. For those of you that have a very, very high throughput need, this is the optimum device. In the middle we have 4 different flavors of the VersaCAMM VS, starting at 30 inches and going all the way up to 64. That take-up is optional if you wanted to get into things like banners or backlit film or static clings or vehicle graphics. So you have options in the middle grade there. And for those of you looking to get into entry-level work with metallic, we have our BN-20. This is my product. It's a benchtop product. It's about 40 inches wide. The media acceptance is 20 inches, so it's very good for decorated apparel, short-run stickers, posters, window clings, things that are very highly customized, short-run, high-profit jobs. This is the wonderful first piece of equipment for anybody bumping up from a vinyl cutter, going from a thermal resin printing system, or anybody doing layers of vinyl right now. This is our entry-level device. Some applications that you may or may not have encountered or you may or may not currently have in your lineup, of course, is stickers and labels. For any of you home-based brewers out there, this is a wonderful option for your home-based business. If you wish to sell your brew or just to enjoy it with family and friends, this is a great way to label it with metallic silver. And then, of course, you have glossy banner, retail point-of-purchase displays, window graphics. You can do some large format signage if you have the XC540MT or the VS540 or the VS640 because you can attain that wide format printing capability with metallic silver to get some very striking signage for that type of application. If you're going out, it's the holiday season, you'll see around that silver is very, very popular for Christmas decorations and for retail displays during the shopping season. And then, of course, you have packaging, package prototyping, things that will go into cosmetics, jewelry. Metallic silver is very popular in this arena. Decorated apparel. Properly profiled material can utilize decorated apparel because it does have a specific gloss level to it that does capture metallic, and there are other materials out there besides the HTM, the roll-in cells, that have the ability to take advantage of this ink set. Fine art is something we're seeing in growing as far as photography, reproduction. Metallic embellishment adds a very, very nice pop on like a glossy canvas or a glossy photo-based paper. Something that is relegated mostly to the water-based machines now, but with the color gamut rising on eco-solvent ink sets and with the addition of metallic silver ink, it's now becoming very popular to have a solvent machine to print these items as well. And then, of course, if there is a Procter & Gamble in your neighborhood that's looking to do package proofs, prototypes, comps, and one-offs, if there's a budding inventor in your area that's looking to put a label on something for the patent office, this is a wonderful time to create that one item that'll go into the boardroom and really wow the executives. You don't have to shut down a press. You can press match to a specific design. But it's a wonderful area to give, again, low run, custom, high dollar items. And then, of course, vehicle graphics. I wouldn't recommend the BN-20 for doing vehicle graphics, but any of the VS VersaCAMMs or the XC540MT are perfectly placed for this type of application. Well, VersaWorks is compatible with some industry standards as well as Adobe, Corel, Flexi, and SignLab, but for today we're going to be focusing on SignLab for VersaWorks. And with that, I'm going to hand over the mouse to Dave, and Dave will be presenting to you today. So with that, go ahead and take it away, Dave.
Hi. Hello, everybody. My name is David Evans. I work at CADlink, and I'm just going to be taking you through some of the SignLab features for working with the metallic ink set in the Roland VersaWorks. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you a few demos of a few files that we've already got, and show you how to use the metallic ink both with vectors and with bitmap images. And we're going to start off doing something that actually combines both bitmaps and vector images. And we're going to start with this image you can see in front of us here. As is often the case when you want to print with metallic, you often, if anyone has done the metallic, you want to have two layers, or you want to have two copies of the object, one that represents the metallic and one that represents your process color. So I'm going to make a duplicate of this image. Before I make a duplicate of this image, I'm just going to, oh, that's better. I'm just going to make a change in my general preferences. Just want to make sure my duplicate's offset is 0, 0. This means that when I make a duplicate of an object, I'm going to make a copy of this image here using Control D. It makes it in exactly the same place, so I don't have to worry about realigning it. Now what I'm going to do is I want to put the metallic effect across the hands, but I don't want it in the background, so I want to remove or knock out the background. And to do that, I'm going to use a feature called Fluid Mask. Now, Fluid Mask is a feature that comes in the SignLab for VersaWorks as well as the standard SignLab products. And it's a tool that's perfectly designed for selecting areas of an image. So what I want to do is I just want to knock out the background. Very simply, you see you've got green brushes which are keep, red brushes which are delete, and blue brushes which are not sure. And there's two types of each. The one on the left is just like an ordinary paintbrush, and the one on the right is a region selection brush. So any region you click on, the whole of that area is selected. And all I want to do is knock my background out and keep the hands. So I've selected already the two areas I want to delete, and rather than go through and mark all the keeps, I can just say Autofill with keep, and that'll just tell the software that I want to keep all the rest of the image. and then I can just ask it to do the cutout for me. And so you can see it's acting as a blue background there, showing you what's going to be invisible or transparent. So with that done, I can say save and apply, and apply this back into SignLab for VersaWorks. Okay, you can't see the difference now, but we've still got the two images. We've got the original and the new one. What I want to do is to take the one we just knocked the back out and give that a metallic effect. And I'm going to do that by using the render to multitone bitmap. Render to multitone bitmap takes an image and allows you to apply a spot color to it. So in this case, you can see it's going to be treated as a grayscale. I can come in here and I can choose my metallic silver, RDG metallic silver. So what I'm actually doing is saying I want to print this image with the metallic silver ink. You can also control it. Often I found that whether you print with 100% metallic or 50% metallic, you get about the same effect. Below 50% you start seeing the tints. So I can control my tints, how I'm using this, and also I can get better drying if I just reduce this to about 50%. So what I'm really saying is I don't want to use any one area more than the 50% metallic, and then I can just pull the curve down a little bit, and all that's just doing is just emphasizing the midtones a little bit more. You can see what effect it will have. Okay, so that's the metallic ink I want to print with this. So I'll say apply. Now what I like to do is I like to manage my jobs, particularly this particular job is not going to be too complicated, but we'll get on and do more complicated jobs. And I like to create multiple layers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt to double click on my layer palette, and I'm going to create a new layer called metallic. Add that, and I'm going to assign the metallic hands to my metallic layer, and then I'm just doing a Control B to send it to the back because I want to see my color layer. The nice thing about this now is if I hit Control and then click on my layer 1, my color layer, I can just see the metallic layer, and I can go back to my color layer. So by keeping all my objects from metallic on one layer, all my color objects on another layer, I can toggle between the two. I can look at just what's on the metallic layer. I can disable one layer or the other. I'm just going to add a little bit of text to this document. And we're just going to add the word CAD link. And hopefully a nice font. So I've got all fonts. Not sure what we've got installed on here. We'll use Flash, see what this one's like. And I'm going to do this in metallic, in the RGB MT gold color. And we'll just type the word CAD link. Okay. And I'm also going to give this an outline. This is our inline outline tool. I don't need an inline on this. I'm going to use the MT green, which is another metallic color for the outline. I'm just going to make that 0.06. So we've got a nice little outline on there. So both the CAD link and the outline are going to print in a metallic color as well. And the last thing I want to do is I want to add a nice soft shadow to the text that is also going to give a metallic effect on here. So I'm going to do this by creating my soft shadow using an eye candy ShadowLab effect. I select inside outside because I don't want to put it inside the text, I want to put it outside. Use a blank object and you can see what our shadow will look like. We can control where it is. There's lots of presets in here, and you can fiddle around with this to your heart's content. So I'm just going to create that. And again, we've got that nice soft shadow. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to run the Multitone bitmap again. And once again choose my metallic. And I'm going to leave that with a little bit stronger than 50% for this one. We'll just still bring it down a little bit to say 80%. Okay, apply. Then I'm going to put this on my metallic layer again. And I can disable my color layer now. And then I'm going to send it to the back, sorry. I'm going to disable my color layer. And you can see at the moment I've sent this right to the back. So what I need to do is send my hands behind that. It's always worth checking your metallic layer and making sure that's in the order you want as well. I can enable my color layer, and that's my job finished. The nice thing about the SignLab for VersaWorks is you don't have to export as an EPS and then import it into VersaWorks. We have a button directly in the software that says print to Roland VersaWorks. So when I click on here, you'll see a list of all the printers installed in VersaWorks. At the moment, it's just a VS420 and the queue, so you can select which queue you want to send to. And we can send the job to VersaWorks. If we look inside Roland VersaWorks, the job's arrived, and then you can send it out to process. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with processing metallic inks through VersaWorks. I'm just going to go over the process. If I can get in there. So I'm just going to take you through the process of printing from VersaWorks with the metallic ink. There's several options in here. They give you different results in terms of speed and quality and things. And they have different pros and cons. So the first thing you need to do is go to the quality here and select a print mode or media type that's got metallic ink in. I'm just going to use a generic vinyl 2, which has got MT, so I know it's a metallic mode. The first thing you do when you've gone in there is you can select down here just a metallic silver pass. You probably won't see this over the webinar, but there is this would actually show you what your metallic is going to print like, and you can actually check that your metallic objects are where you want them to be. Unfortunately, due to the way the webinar viewer works, the preview isn't very good when transmitted over the internet. So you'll just have to take Dana's word that it is there.
I can see it on my screen, Dave.
Okay, great. So basically, there's many ways of printing this. You can just select CMYK with the metallic and choose high quality. This is the quickest way. It prints the metallic and all the process colors in one pass together. The problem with this is because the metallic is printed with the CMYK and doesn't have any time to dry, the metallic effect is fairly weak. And I, generally speaking, don't recommend this method of printing. There is a high quality layered approach. What this is actually going to do when you select the high quality layered is it's going to kind of split the head. It's going to use half of the nozzles in the head for printing metallic and the other half of the nozzles for printing the CMYK. And you can see by the time here that it's going to take longer. In fact, it's going to take roughly twice as long to print doing this. But because it prints the metallic and then prints the CMYK after the metallic's gone down and giving it a little bit of time to dry, you'll get a much better metallic effect. The other advantage of doing this in one pass is, of course, if you can do this on long runs, you won't have any registration problems. So there are quite a few other advantages for doing a sort of single pass, what they call a high quality layered method. The other way you can do it is you can actually print the metallic, rewind and print the color. And effectively to do that, you actually sort of process the image twice. So what you would do is you choose your metallic layer here, metallic silver, and just say, I just want to print the metallic. And then don't forget, you're going to want to rewind it so that you can print the color afterwards. So come into the cutter controls and you can click on the return to origin after print. You could then send this job off to print. I'm not actually going to do it, but you could then print this job and it would print the metallic, rewind, and then once you've rewound it, you can then send the color. And you do that by simply coming back in here. You don't need to return to origin this time because you're just printing the color layer. And now you can just select the color pass to the bottom one here. And then you can print it a second time and print the color layer over the top. Because you print the metallic all the way through and then print the color separately, the metallic's got a lot of time to dry. And this certainly does give you the best metallic effect when you're mixing the metallic ink with processed colors. But it's not ideal if you're trying to do long runs or unattended runs, and of course it's just not a practical thing to do. And it also does, on very big print areas, potentially have issues with registration. Although I have to say that the Welding machines are excellent at registration, and they're probably about the best there is. So, okay, so we've looked. Oh, sorry about that. We've looked at one demonstration where we've just done a very simple piece of a little bit of text and some bitmaps and produce some metallic inks. What we're going to do now is we're going to look at some other example images. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do something that's a little bit more complicated.
Muted.
But also at the same time, if you actually ever see this printed, does have quite a bit more wow factor to it. It's a really nice print if you ever get the chance to see this particular job. So this is sorry. This particular image, if I can get to it. So this particular image here, just what we want to do is we want to give the gold or the reflection in the sea a metallic effect, and I think it looks particularly good because with the black surrounding on it, the gold really pops. You get a bit of light on it, and it just looks like real gold. It looks really beautiful. So again, I want to create a version of the image that I want to use to print the metallic with, and then I need the original image for the color. So once again, I'm just going to do Control D, which makes a duplicate of the image. And again, because I want to create a mask, I want to just select just all the gold areas. I'm going to use my Fluid Mask tool again, so that I can select the gold. Okay, what I'm going to do for this is I'm not going to use the region selection tools. I'm going to select by color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the whole image first of all. And you can see this will display a little color workspace diagram for us. So this is the these are all my colors. I'm going to put into a, you can go into a sort of 2D or a 3D type method on here for looking at these. And what we're going to do is select all my highlights basically to start with. And you can see over here as I do my selections, it's marking these up as areas. So what I'm going to do is as I mark these up, I'm just going to mark. I'm marking them on the right-hand side here. The green bucket is for keep. So that says I want to keep all those colors. And you can see it starts turning those to green as I click on those. You can also use the little eyedropper here and find that color and it'll highlight it for you down here, so you can then select those regions of colours and again mark those as colours you want to keep. So I think that's pretty much most of the colours I want. There's probably a few bits and pieces in there I don't want, which I can tidy up in a minute, but that's mainly what I want. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to autofill with delete. In other words, select the area that the rest of the area that I haven't selected now as area I want to get rid of. And then I can run my knockout. Okay, so there you can see I could do some more adjustments to this, but that's not a bad loose. The only thing I have got a problem with here is if I zoom in, the tools for zooming in here are the same as in Photoshop, so you can just use Control plus to zoom in. He said, there we are. The only problems I've got here is you see where the water is. This spray here, it's whether we really wanted that to print in metallic. And we could actually do a little bit more editing on this to make sure the white areas there didn't print as metallic, just printed as white ink. I'm going to do a very quick job on this. I'm not going to do this properly, just because I want to get through some other demos. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here. We've got our eraser tool, and I'm just going to clean out those areas of the water. That I want to keep. Just draw my selection around here. The nice thing about this is now I'm just going to edit just this area, so I don't have to worry about messing up the rest of the image. And I can basically find my white areas in here now. Mark those as delete. Mark the rest of the areas roughly that I want to do as keep. And then we can do another knockout. Okay, so we've taken the white water bits out and just given us just the sort of frothy, glossy bits. So if we actually just look here on the transparent background, you can see what areas here are the areas we're going to print with the metallic ink. So I'm going to save and apply that. Take that back into SignLab. And you obviously can't see it at the moment. If I just move this over to the side, you can see we've got the two images. We've got one which is going to be our metallic layer and one which is going to be the color layer. Just move that back. Now before I turn this, I could just use the rendered to Multitone bitmap to get a metallic effect in there. But before I do that, I'm going to just do a color edit to it. And I'll explain why I do the color edit to it as I go. I'm going to use what's called the easy color adjustments. Now, if you look at this image here, you see that a lot of the pixels in here that we've selected are white or close to white, so they're very light. So when I convert them to a multitone bitmap, they're going to print with a very small amount of metallic. What I want to do is print lots of metallics so that it really shines and bolts through. So I'm just going to drop my lightness down to -100. And what that's going to do is it's going to change all my pixels that I've selected to be 100%, to be a solid area. So everything we get in there now is going to be like black. And you can see because of all that area that we selected, we've now black because it's sitting on top plus a black background. You can see that it's just making this the whole picture at the moment look as if it's black. Anyway, now I'm just going to apply my multitone bitmap. And we can select our metallic silver again. Say apply. So now you can see it. I can then just send that to the back. And that's ready to rock and roll. Printing that's exactly the same. You just say File, Print to Roll in VersaWorks. I'm not going to go through the actual viewing it in VersaWorks again because you can't see the metallic layer properly remotely. But that image looks fantastic when it prints out. Looks really great. It's something really special. It's just something you can't get with CMYK, and it's a sort of image that Dana was talking about earlier. That people are going to look at it. It's going to catch their eye, particularly if it's got a bit of light on it, a bit of either sunlight or spotlight on it. It really sparkles. It looks something special. Okay. The next one I'm going to do is a kind of a atypical signage type image, and deal with some of the problems when you're working with vectors that occur. So what I'm going to do, File, New. Right, there we go. So what we're going to do is I'm going to import an image here. It's a sort of a typical sign, and it's the idea is it's somebody who comes along gives you an example image that they want you to print, but they want you to, where is it? They want you to turn it into a metallic and give it some pop. Sorry. Okay, so we've got a nice little Jordan image here. What I want to basically do is to print the flag in metallic. So I'm just going to use some new colors in. I'm just going to show you how easy it is to do this. I'm going to switch to color view. In color view, this is our job palette down the right hand side, and our job palette shows you all the colors that are actually in this job. So you can see all of those in there. Now, if I want to convert all the colors, say I want to turn all my grays to use the Roland metallic silver, all I need to do is to find my Roland metallic silver in my shop palette down here, literally drag it and drop it onto my gray, and all those objects are automatically converted to use the Roland MTG metallic silver. And if I want to change my yellow, I can do exactly the same thing. I can find my Roland MT Gold, and I can just drag and drop that onto my yellow, and there you go. Those two, all four of the squares, my whole flag now is going to print in metallic, with the two bits being pure silver and the other two being the Roland Gold. The only problem with this image is that when you print with metallic, there is no knockout. Knockout is where, if you were to normally print this, the red here would knock out the objects behind it. So you wouldn't, for example, expect to see any color behind the red. You wouldn't expect to see the color of the flag coming through the red in parts where it's underneath. But because of the way the metallic ink works with inside VersaWorks, it will do. So what will happen is you'll have three different tints of red here. You'll have red where it's on a white background, a different color of red where it's on the yellow because you're getting metallic through it, and again a different color again where it's on the solid metallic because you've got more metallic behind it, which would make a complete mess of this image. There's a very, very simple trick in SignLab for sorting this out. All I'm going to do is just F3, which selects all my objects, and then do on my welds what's called a basic weld. And a basic weld, before I do the basic weld, I'll just show you what I mean. I'm just going to select my black objects, and just move them. Okay, so you can see all the other objects underneath it, right? So you can see all those other flags behind it, which have got the metallic in it. If I do a basic weld, what it does is it literally knocks everything out for you. So now, for example, if we were to select all the black again, by the way, shift selecting on the color selects all those objects of that color in the job palette. If I move that away now, you can see it's clear, it's cleaned out. So what that means is when I come to print this now, I'm not going to have any of the issues of the metallic showing through at certain parts of the word Jordan, either on the black or the red or anything else, because everything's already been knocked out. So that's all ready to print, and I'll get metallic in the flags, but I won't have any metallics behind any of my text or any of my vector areas. So that's a pretty simple but very, very useful thing. That the basic weld, when you're dealing with vectors and the metallic ink, is just a great tool. You'll find there are some other welding type tools you can learn about, and the more sophisticated ones that allow you to do little overlaps and things like that for bleed and things. But my experience, generally speaking, is the basic weld does a good enough job. The Roland VersaCAMM's alignment is very good, so even if you're printing the metallic and rewinding, you don't, generally speaking, have to do anything more sophisticated than the basic weld. Okay, Dana, how are we doing for time? Dana? Oh.
We are at 11:40. We are at 40.
Okay, have I got time for another demo?
Yes, I do.
Something wrong with the sound, but I'll take that as a yes.
That is a yes.
It is, okay, cool. Okay. So I'm going to do one more demo. I might even get to do 2 more demos. We're going to look at a particular difficulty problem, which is we're going to look at something that uses text effects and also transparency. And I think you'll find that, generally speaking, when you're dealing with metallic ink, if you talk to Roland, they'll generally say, don't use transparency. Transparency has all sorts of problems because of with metallic ink. Not least because when you print with transparency, what happens is that there's a flattening process that goes on, and when that flattening process happens, a lot of your metallic objects will get flattened, and then they get converted to process color. The way the printing process works is the metallic colors get sent to something called a named color space, and they don't get sent as named color space if you've got transparency, because the flattening removes the named color space, if you like. SignLab for VersaWorks is the I think the only application where what we've done is we've done a special case. So we look for the Roland metallic ink, and if we see Roland metallic ink, we know not to include it in the flattening process and to write it out separately. So when you're doing transparency, though, I generally do recommend that people stick to just using the Roland metallic silver rather than the process guides. Using the process guides with transparency can get very complicated. But if you just stick, if you need to use transparency, you just stick to the Roland metallic silver. In SignLab for VersaWorks, you can use it to your heart's content and you won't have any problems. So there's actually 2 parts of this demo. I'm hoping we're going to get through the whole thing, but we'll see. So what we're going to do is we've already set this image half up. It's not complete. If I switch the color off, you can see I've already done part of the Roland logo in metallic, and I've also created some metallic shadows that go behind the SignLab logos. And we're just going to add a few more effects. We're going to add some metallic text effects and some vector effects, and we're also going to add another bitmap effect. So the first thing I want to do is I want to make my yellow here, give it a nice metallic yellow, something that really stands out. And I'm going to do that by shift-clicking on the yellow. That selects all my yellow objects. Doing Control-D to make a copy of it. And then I'm going to give it a metallic silver. But I don't want to give it a full 100% tint, so I'm just going to give it a 50% tint here. And say add that to my list. Okay. I'm also going to click this on the metallic, so I put it on my metallic layer, and then I'm going to send it to the back. So that's given my my frame a nice metallic color. The next thing I'm going to do is I want to give my text up here. I want to give this a kind of chrome metallic effect. So I'm going to do this in two parts. First of all, I'm going to give the metallic effect, and I'm going to do that by duplicating the text, and I'm going to give that duplicate text a 50% metallic tint. I've already got that in my palette now, so I just have to click on it. I'm going to stick that on my metallic layer and send it to the back. And then I'm going to go and select my text, and now I want to give this the chrome effect. So I want a bit of color there to give it the metallic some shape. And I'm going to do that with this feature called Eye Candy Chrome, believe it or not. And I'm going to choose inside outside because I want to put it inside the text. And what you're going to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to use my liquid metal. I'm going to drop that down to a fair bit. I can to about 4 or 5. Make that. Sorry, it's being a bit unresponsive at the moment. And then finally I'm just going to make a little bit of a lighting effect, improve the highlights a little bit. Of course, this is all customizable. You can choose whatever values you like in here and whatever particular effects you like. But when I've finished, there you go. So what you're going to do is you're going to get a metallic print behind it with the color shades on it, and it's going to give you a really nice, if I just zoom right into it, a really nice metallic effect on the text there. It's going to really look something special. Okay. Right. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to do something with this text down here. I want to give this again a metallic effect. I want to give it a kind of a blurred, motion blurred effect. And that's why I've got 2 copies of the text. This first one I'm going to do is going to be the highlight. This actually won't print with metallic. I want to have, with any blur, I don't want it to be just blurred. I want to have a sharpness to my blur. So this is going to act as my sharpness to my blur. So I'm going to use what's called the render to contour bitmap. And I'm just going to make this, if I can, 300 dpi. I want it to be reasonably good quality. Like that, and just say apply. So you can see I've created, what it's done is done a centerline trace. If we zoom in there, and you can see it's got a nice fade around the outside. The next thing I want to do is I want to make the white area of it transparent so I can show my blur through later on, because at the moment this is opaque. To do transparency, at the moment this is a grayscale image, so I've got to convert it to RGB to be able to apply a transparency effect to it. And then I can just go to my alpha channel and say mask white. What mask white does is basically say anything that's white is transparent, anything that's black is opaque, and basically depend on this grey level how transparent the image is. So basically something that's 50% grey is going to become 50% transparent. So you can see. Now that makes it a little bit faded. You could say it's a bit too far gone. There is a plugin here called Transparency Opacity, which allows you to do all sorts of sophisticated editing. But we also provide easy tools. And I've got an easy tool under my alpha channel which just says make more visible. And you can see that'll just pop it up a bit. And if that's not enough, you can just run it a second time or as many times as you need until you're happy with the results. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is I want to create the motion blur for this. So I've got this copy of the image down here. To do a motion blur, it's obviously got to be a bitmap. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my text and I'm going to say render the bitmap. I don't need it to be hugely high resolution, so 150 dpi, full color, say apply, and that's turned it into a bitmap. It's a bit jaggy, but it's going to become a blur, so it doesn't really matter too much. To apply the blur effect, I'm going to select the image again, and under the color, under the filters, we've got a blur, and we've got a motion blur option. And I'm going to leave the angle at 0, and I'm going to put the blur effect at 45. And you can see that's given it a nice kind of zing to it. Then I can use my render to multitone bitmap to convert this to print with metallic silver. Again, I probably don't want this to go to 100%, so I'm just going to bring that up to about 50. You said. And there you go. Now, because we've got transparency going on here, I can stick this behind. And then just line it up to give it that kind of, oops, sorry about this. I'm having a bit of trouble controlling today. There you go. Now normally, as I said, that would be a complete no-no. If you tried to print this from Illustrator or CorelDRAW, you wouldn't get any metallic effect there. I'm just going to stick this on my metallic layer there. Because what would happen is that when you came to print that, because there's a transparency effect in the top version of the text, the metallic wouldn't print as metallic. But from SignLab to VersaWorks, that because it looks specifically for that metallic silver, knows it's a special case, it doesn't include it in the flattening code, and it will print properly. Okay. Okay, the final step in this design is we're going to, just to check, Dana, have we got time to finish this off?
We're at about 9:51, so if it's a couple of minutes we'll wrap up, otherwise we can go to questions.
Okay, it's going to take me probably at least 5 minutes to do. Is that okay?
Yeah, go ahead, Dave.
Okay. Okay, so if I find this one, text with transparency. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring in this picture of a girl. And a bit like on the boat picture, what I want to do is I want to give the, she's got glitter on her face, she's got this nice glittery band in the background coming out of her hair. I want to make all of that metallic, make it really pop to finish this off. So what I'm going to do is going to make a duplicate copy of the image. And I'm going to move this aside in a moment because I need to work on 2 copies of this. I'm going to show you a little trick here which is rather nifty. So what we're going to do is take that image there and we're going to run the fluid mask to get our mask in there. And once again, because it's easy for me to do this, is select by color. So I'm just going to mask the whole area. Just going to give it a second to process. And mask the whole area. Come on. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to make all my highlights here, so I can see which ones I'm selecting here. So what I want to do is I want to delete these. So I'm basically getting rid of the areas that I want. I want those areas to be transparent, so that I can, again, this whole idea is that I can show the metallic coming through, because I've got coming through there. So I'm going to delete those areas. Now obviously a lot of these blues and things like that I want to turn to metallic as well. And you can find them again. You can just sort of, if I click with the eyedropper, it shows you where they are, and it gives you an idea of where they are, and then you can choose those and mark them for delete. So I could probably do a bit more than that, but that's going to be good enough for the demo. So then I say autofill with keep. Okay, you can see what it's going to do, and I can do my knockout. Okay, so you can see where it's blue is where my background is going to come through later on. So that's the area where I can put my metallic color through. It's not going to come through as blue, obviously, but it's just showing me what it's going to look like. So I'm going to say save and apply this. Okay. And you can see what it looks like on a white background. You can see you've got a nice clear kind of, you can see what the white looks like coming through there. Now, it would obviously be very difficult for me to get exactly the same mask on the second image, which is the image I want to use for printing metallic. So I'm going to show you a little trick in here. The mask, the thing that sets the transparency in here is the alpha channel. And I can split it. I can take that across, and see what I've got now is I've got my alpha channel, grayscale alpha channel, and I've got my original color. And I can just make a duplicate of this, and you'll see why I'm going to do this in a second, because then I can use the mask twice. I'm going to reassign this back to the original image now. So I'm just going to select both of these. I've selected my alpha channel, my color, and to put it back together again, I'm just going to go alpha channel combine. So I just split it just so I could get a copy of that alpha channel. And that allows me to now use this alpha channel with this image. And it means I'm using exactly the same mask. I don't have to worry about pixels or anything like that. I know that the mask and the pixels and everything are going to line up perfectly because it is the same alpha channel. So obviously what I do want to do though, I want the opposite selection. So because if I mask this, I'm going to have the same one as the original one. So with this selection, I'm just going to go image, color adjustments, and say invert. So you can see the opposite case of it. And then I can choose those two, and I can combine them. And now we've got our metallic version. Now again, we've got this problem where we've got a lot of white pixels. White pixels, if I tell them to print as metallic, because white is 0, are not going to print with any metallic ink. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that easy color adjustments again in order to beef up my my white pixels, my white areas, so that I can get a bit of metallic in them. So what I'm going to do is I'm taking the saturation down to 0. This basically tells it to pretend it's like a grayscale. It helps me to see exactly what happens. When you convert to the multitone bitmap, the first thing it's going to do is convert to grayscale. And I'm only doing this just so it makes it easier for me to visibly see what changes I make. I'm going to increase my black point up to about 20, so you can just see I'm just pushing up those pixels there. And then I'm going to take my midtones down to about 0.5, 0.4. And you can see what we've done is we've made all those pixels that are white and close to white. We've given them some tint, so when we turn it into metallic, it'll print with a bit of with a decent amount of metallic ink in it. Okay, so the final thing now is just to convert it to a metallic ink with a multitone bitmap feature. Say apply. And I need to align these two up, so I can do that by just selecting both of them and then using the alignment tool. Actually, before I do anything else, I just want to put this on my metallic palette, on my metallic layer. Okay. Let's see, F3, F7. Okay, so what I'm now going to do is line this up with my rest of my graphics. Easier said than done. There we go. We can just, I always suggest doing this before you finally print. Just turn your color layer off and make sure all your metallics lined up and everything. If you actually look, these logos here, because they're own box square, they're just clipping out the corners there. So what I'm going to do is select each of those and then just send them to the back. You can see it stops that little bit of clipping there going on there. So, re-enable the color layer, it's ready to go. And even though it's got transparency in there, all your metallic objects will still print as metallic without any problems. And I think that's probably it for me. Any questions?
At this time, we'd like to open it up to any of our viewers. If you have any questions for David, please type them in the question box on your control panel on the right side of your screen. We'll give it a minute, Dave, to see if any questions pop up.
Sure, no problem.
Well, Dave, it looks like you did a very effective demo. We don't have any questions at this time. Of course, if there are any questions. Here we go. One from Blair. Do you suggest that you print your metallic first?
Yeah, I suggest, I think to get the best effect from the metallic ink needs a while to dry, and the best way of giving it enough time to dry is to print a whole of the metallic layer first, rewind and print the color. It's not always practical to do that. Obviously you can't run unattended printing like that, and if you're doing a very big print, a very big large area like on the VS640, you may have registration problems if you're doing some small bits, but it certainly does give you the best effect.
Yeah, Blair, I would echo that as well. Dual pass printing does give a much better metallic effect, but since you're doing dual pass, you have to print, wind back to origin, and print again on a friction-fed system. There may be possible registration issues. But yeah, that does give a much better effect. Single pass printing, either blended or layered, is better for long runs. Are there any other questions? I have a question here from Kevin. Are there any demos or PDFs available on CADlink's website?
Yes, I think basically we've got 5 metallic demos. I've done 4 of them, and all 4 of those tutorials are available on our website in a PDF form, along with so there's a step-by-step tutorial that takes you through each step. There's the CDL files and all the existing clip art. So yes, all the demos. I think the 5th one is in the process of being put up at the moment. But yes, there are.
So from CADlink's website, under the SignLab link, there's SignLab for VersaWorks.
I believe it's in the info source area. There's a guy called Mike who should be listing in who will probably know exactly where it is. But I think you have to log on to the info source area. Anybody can log on to our website. You do have to join and become a member, but you don't have to be a user of SignLab to join InfoSource. And in InfoSource, there's tons of tutorials and tips and tricks.
We also have a question from Paul. Will CADlink run on a Mac using VMware Fusion?
I certainly know. First of all, we obviously can't support it under the Macs, but I certainly know quite a lot of people, including some of the people who work for CADlink, who do run it on a Mac. I'm not a Mac expert. I was about 15 years ago when I worked on the Macs, but I don't anymore. I certainly know it worked on Mac Parallel, and I know the guy in Germany who's our rep there runs it on a MacBook under the latest OS, and it runs. You can literally flick between the two.
We have a comment from Kevin. He suggests that Boot Camp in Parallels works well. Okay, at this point we'll wrap things up. I want to express a special thank you to David Evans from CADlink. If you have any questions, you can contact us at rolandacademy@rolanddga.com. And of course visit cadlink.com for a SignLab for VersaWorks download if you want to get into it. And for any of you SignLab users out there, you can visit our website at rolanddga.com.